Why is the VA denying my hearing loss claim? I was a tank crew member before I reclassed to artillery, and my hearing sucks, and the VA even gave me hearing aids, but my hearing loss has been denied. What gives? Well, folks, this is where the rating table gets real weird. So how is hearing loss assessed? So first of all, the VA has a list of various MOSs or jobs in the military where hearing loss may be presumptive, or not hearing loss itself, but rather noise exposure, right? So if you're a fighter pilot or a tank crew member or an artilleryman or infantryman, your hearing loss is going to be a little bit easier to prove because the VA is going to presume that you were exposed to a lot of loud noises in service. Me as a lawyer, 27 Alpha JAG in the Army, my hearing loss or tinnitus is not presumptive at all because I spent most of my time in an office. That being said, we get a lot of clients whose hearing loss has been denied, and they're just perplexed as to why that is. And I have to admit, I didn't really understand this at first either because I read the regulation a bunch of times and it didn't make any sense. So in order for hearing loss to be service-connected, even at a 0% level, it has to be bad enough so that the threshold shifts are high enough to even get a 0% rating. Now, what they do is they do a hearing test by putting you in that little booth and having you do the little clicker thing, and it's always awkward, always feels weird. And you come out and they look at whether or not you were able to recognize certain sounds across certain frequencies. And they take a measurement of all these frequencies. And if the hearing loss averages out over all those frequencies to be above a certain decibel level, that's when you get to that nice 0% rating, right? 0% rating. What are you supposed to do with that? And actually, your hearing's got to be pretty bad before you can even get to a 10% rating. The threshold shift for decibel levels is like in the 50s. The other test they do is the speech discrimination test, meaning that can you make out words being said? Is the acuity in your hearing good enough? Even if you can hear the things being said, is the acuity good enough? And that's a separate test, and they look at a percentage based on each ear and the words that are being said. So if you've been denied for hearing loss, it doesn't mean that the VA doesn't believe that the military caused some hearing damage. It's literally the ratings table and the CFR, or the Code of Federal Regulations, says that you're not entitled to service connection for hearing loss up until you get at least a certain level of being unable to hear. It's kind of wild. Once you get up past that level, they start comparing various ears, and there's a matrix that they look at. But the bottom line is that to really even get to 10% or higher, your hearing loss has got to be pretty darn bad. So with that said, that is just a little key into the system here. This is why a lot of folks claim hearing loss and tinnitus, or tinnitus. I've heard it pronounced both ways, although I'm pretty sure it's tinnitus. You might get granted for tinnitus. You might get denied for hearing loss. Same idea. The VA knows you've been exposed to noise. They know it's done some damage, but it's not high enough damage on the hearing loss side to get even a 0% rating, let alone a rating with a number attached to it. In any event, I hope that answers some of your questions. Hearing loss claims are a little difficult, but then again, if you've been denied for purely hearing loss, it's probably not a big deal because chances are your hearing just has to be really, really bad for the VA to grant it anyway. I encourage you to look up the tables yourselves. They're at 38 CFR and determine where you fall in to the hearing loss spectrum. In any event, I hope this was helpful. Hope to answer some questions, gave you some ways to thought about it. And until next time, take care.